Most of the leadership in developing countries are products of struggle. They are products of revolution. They are products of battles that have been fought in jungles or at the ballot box. And many of our leaders have become leaders not because they were prepared. They became leaders because of circumstances. And so many of them have emerged with titles and position and power without formal skill. So the Third World Association of Leadership Training was established to address that unique problem by bringing formal leadership training to these leaders around the third world. Because the quality of life in these nations will depend on the quality of leadership that rule or reign or govern these countries. You want a better life. You want to have a safe, secure society that provides opportunity for you to prosper. So our vision is simple. Our vision is to influence the destiny of developing third world nations through leadership training and networking. And we believe that this leadership training should be based on what we call time-tested values and principles. And that is in reference to the principles laid down by the Creator, which we believe are the only ones that work. And for transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. In other words, our vision is to take people like you, a housewife, a student, a mechanic, and to train you to become a great leader in your area of gifting. If you are already a leader, we want to train you to become an agent of change in the world, because we believe that change is only possible through the right kind of leadership. So we've been working with what we call our passion. Our passion includes leadership, influence, development, training, and networking. I believe that my relationship with you is a networking favor from God. I believe that meeting the pastor of this great church and others is the beginning of a networking. We need you to be the leader in your area of gifting. Why do we need your leadership? Why is leadership so important to release their treasure? Number one, because nothing happens without leadership. Number two, nothing changes without leadership. Number three, nothing develops without leadership. Number four, nothing in life improves without leadership. If you want something to change or improve, there must be someone. She must take the leadership. Number five, nothing is corrected without leadership. If things are going wrong, someone has to emerge to correct it. Things don't just correct themselves. Number six, everyone is being led all the time by someone. Whether you think you are or not, someone is influencing you. Whether it's a pastor, a counselor, a boss, a girlfriend, or a wife, someone is influencing your life. We are always being led by someone. And I put it to you, therefore, that we need to be careful of the people that lead us. This is why we must ask the question, what is leadership? It took me 30 years to write this one sentence. I want to define for you what leadership is. Write it down, please. What is true leadership? This definition is very comprehensive. I have read over 287 books on leadership over the past 20 years. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration generated by a passion, motivated by a vision, which was birthed from a conviction that was produced by a purpose. Very complicated, but very necessary. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, not manipulation. And that inspiration comes from a passion that the person possesses. That passion motivates that person because they have a vision. The vision that they have of the future is birthed from a conviction, a belief, that they have. And that belief is produced by a sense of purpose they discovered. Purpose protects you from suicide. When a person discovers their purpose in life, that gives them a conviction. A conviction is a deep belief that you were born to change something in the world. You will never be a leader until you discover a conviction. Without a conviction, you are not a leader. You are simply a manager. Managers don't change the world. They maintain the status quo. Leaders are individuals that have discovered a purpose for their life that becomes a conviction in their lives, and that conviction leads to number 3. It gives them a vision of the future. If you have no vision for the future, you are a manager. And that's number 4. Passion takes over your life because it drives you because of your conviction. Your conviction says, I must do something about this. The average person in this room is lacking passion. You cannot be a leader unless you discover your passion. Passion is a desire that is stronger than opposition. Passion is a desire that is stronger than criticism. Passion is a desire that is stronger than death. When a human discovers their conviction and their vision, their passion comes alive, and their passion is what makes them stand up against opposition and resistance. If you don't yet have a passion, passion is what wakes a leader up in the morning. Leaders don't need alarm clocks. Their passion wakes them up. Passion is what makes a leader go alone when everyone forsakes them. The Bible spoke of Jesus Christ as setting his face like flint toward Jerusalem. That's passion. That means he decided nothing will stop me. A true leader cannot be stopped. They must be killed. Passion is not finding something to live for. Passion is finding something to die for. Do you want to be a leader? You were born to be a leader, but the average human being don't want to pay the price of passion. Nelson Mandela, look at this list. He's in this list. He found a purpose for his life. He saw that racism and apartheid was wrong, and he felt that he was born to change it. So he went to a conviction. His conviction was there must be a better South Africa. It became a vision. He saw a new South Africa. He saw the pictures of it as a young lawyer, and that vision made him a passionate lawyer. He decided that he would go to prison before he accepted apartheid. His passion took him to prison. Are you willing to go to prison for your dream? If not, you are not a leader yet. His passion inspired people. That's number 5. The only way you can become a true leader is to inspire people. And how do you inspire them? Simple. You develop your own passion for your own dream. When you have a passion for the conviction in your heart, that passion inspires others to follow you. This is why true leaders never seek followers. Followers are attracted to the passion of the leader. This is why we were so inspired by Nelson Mandela. Do you know why no one's following you yet? You don't inspire them. Do you know why you don't inspire them? Because you're not willing to die for something yet. You are so self-conscious. You want to protect your life so much. You want to preserve your life so much. You don't want to upset the boat. You don't want no opposition. You don't want no one to disagree with you. You want everybody to like you. You will never be a leader. Are you willing to die for a conviction? Or are you simply getting a salary? Third world nations and developing countries will never have true leaders until we find people who discovered a godly purpose for that nation, willing to die for it, and their passion will inspire us to agree with that dream. Most of our leaders in churches work for a salary. Most of our politicians work for a salary. Most of our managers and companies work for a salary. Leadership is difficult to find. My question is, what have you felt you were born to fix in the Fiji? A leader is born when you find something you hate. Are you angry yet? You will never change what you tolerate. She became angry. And she saw a vision of the people in India being helped, being serviced, being healed, being lifted up. And she went to her Monsignor and said, "Sir, I want to resign from my job." Have you found something more important than your job yet? It's found in what you're willing to die for. This is leadership. When you influence people, then they call you a leader. So leadership is not about seeking position or seeking power or seeking titles. It's about seeking purpose. All true leaders never tried to be leaders. Complain about everything. Leaders plan to change it. Are you a leader? Your success and your prosperity is found in what you are willing to die for. This is leadership. When you influence people, then they call you a leader. So leadership is not about seeking position or seeking power or seeking titles. It's about seeking purpose. All true leaders never tried to be leaders. Vision is a true vision. How do I know when a vision is from God? I say it's simple. If your vision only benefits you, it is not from God. True vision will always improve the lives of others. The ultimate vision that we've ever seen on earth is not a prophet with great teachings. That's not vision. A true vision is when a man came to earth and said, "No greater love than this." That's true vision. Is what you are doing improving other people or just improving you? If you work to buy a car and a big house and to move to the wealthy side of town, that's not a vision from God, that's ambition. Uh-oh. That's why you are not a leader yet. You are an employee. Leadership is about improving other people's lives. This is why true leadership never destroys humans. I don't care what they tell me about their cause and about their justification for terrorism. It's impossible to be true leadership because true leadership doesn't destroy people. Are you a leader? Do you love people? Or do you just love yourself? Leadership is not about you. It's about others. I want to give you, before we take a break, the 6 necessary attributes of leaders. You must have these attributes. Number 1, a belief in yourself. Believe that you are important to the world. Number 2, you must have a passion for the job in your life. Be willing to die for your vision to help people. Be willing to pay a price, to go without for the sake of others. Be willing to sacrifice your body and your time to make other people's lives better. Have a passion for your assignment. Number 3, a leader must have a love for people. If you don't like people, leave them alone. can't lead people you don't like, and they know you don't like them. That's why they're going to leave you. The highest expression of your love for other people is your desire to improve them. And most of the folks you call leaders are professional manipulators. They got titles and power to use you for their own advancement. This is not leadership. This is control. Number 4, you must have a capacity for being alone. You know, as a leader, you will not be popular. Because when you first pursue your dream, you will be by yourself. You can never be a true leader unless you can go alone. Are you willing to go alone? If you love people's approval so much that you will not pursue your dream without them, you will never be a leader. You must have a capacity for being alone. You know, as a leader, you will not be popular. Because when you first pursue your dream, you will be by yourself. You can never be a true leader unless you can go alone. Are you willing to go alone? If you love people's approval so much that you will not pursue your dream without them, you will never be a leader. Leadership is a lonely place. Because when you are out front, you are by yourself. If you like the crowd, you will never be a leader. Even your own family could be your problem. Because when you find your dream and your vision and your purpose, your family will disagree with it first. Because they want you to be just like them. Nothing. Nowhere, want you to go with them. Leadership always demands separation. When you study great leaders in history like Abraham, the first thing God told Abraham, leave your father's house. Get away from your own town. Leave your family, he says. Moses, God said to Moses, get behind the mountain. I want to see you by yourself, alone. This is why God identifies with the eagle. The eagle is a lonely bird. That's why it's the king of birds. Eagles don't mix with pigeons. They only keep company with eagles. Because eagles are the only birds that can fly 5 miles in the air. The only birds at that altitude. The only birds. So when an eagle is in top flight, if it meets another bird at that flight level, it has to be another eagle. So if you are keep running into pigeons, you know what the problem is? You're flying too low. Clap. Pigeons always making noise. Complain, 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 complain. It's time to go higher. Eagles are very quiet. They just glide on the currents of life. And when you meet one, you know that's an eagle. Show me your friends, I will show you your future. Who do you keep company with, young man? Pigeons or eagles? Number 5, you must have a satisfaction from the success of others. True leaders love to see other people succeed. See, you kill them. You are not a leader. But true leaders enjoy other people's success. They even help them succeed. I believe the greatest statement of leadership was made by my greatest mentor of all time, Yeshua, Jesus Christ. He said, it is expedient that I go away. Because if I don't go away, you will not do greater works than I've done. He wanted his followers to do greater works. He was not from Fiji. We don't want no one to be better than us. We don't want no competition. We are not leaders. We are insecure. Number 6, leaders must have a commitment to the betterment of humanity. You know, true leaders don't care who gets the credit as long as the job gets done. One of the weaknesses I've seen in leadership, especially in the church, is that church leaders love to get the credit. They are sick. Well, you didn't put my name on the program. Oh, shut up. Woo-hoo. What do we call him? Moses. How about Joshua? Not Reverend Joshua, just Joshua. We don't say Right Reverend Ezekiel. It's just Ezekiel said. Oh, come on, talk to me. How about Jeremiah? Daniel. We don't say Bishop Daniel, Apostle Daniel. It's just Daniel. What's your problem? Jose, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk. There's Zephaniah. There's Haggai. That's Zechariah. There's Malachi. First names. What's your problem, Pastor? How about this one? Jesus. Born in a river of humanity. So you find yourself floating on a current of the population. It's easy to flow downstream. We are all born in the river of humanity. And the currents of our culture carry us with it. But somewhere along that journey, you have to discover that you are different from those in that river. And you have to accept that your assignment is unique. And then you must wake up to the reality that what you were born to do, no one else is born to do. Natural. So if you want to be a successful leader, your first cost will be opposition. Opposition is not negative. Opposition is affirmation that you are going in the right direction. Opposition is a validation that you are not a victim of the currents of society. Opposition means that you are not only different, but you are making a difference. So all true leaders have a story to tell. They all have a story of opposition. You can never be successful without experiencing opposition. So if you want to be an effective leader, stop expecting everyone to agree with you. The second cost of leadership is criticism. Criticism is natural. Criticism is evidence that you are making a difference. If you are not being criticized, it's because you are not doing anything worth criticizing. Criticism is simply a human's irritation about your effect on them. Criticism is a sign that you are making an impact. Criticism is also evidence that you are not normal. Leaders are never normal. So a critic is someone who's observing something that is changing the environment. So don't be afraid of criticism as a leader. Embrace it. And remember this, that people who have time to criticize you, they do it because they have time. You ain't got no time. You're too busy pursuing your purpose. Clap your hands right there. Critics are also people who are temporarily insane. They will join you later. So be patient with critics. Criticism is also evidence of people who don't understand you yet. But they will. And they'll become your greatest supporters later. So give them a right to be wrong. It's the price of leadership. The third cost of leadership is antagonism. Some people become so critical, they become angry at you, bitter, because you are making a difference in the environment. Antagonism is natural. This is a difficult one. I believe that every true leader have a genuine heart. We experienced it yesterday. We are misunderstood because people are not in our heads. They don't know why we're doing what we're doing. They haven't had the encounter with destiny the way you have. They haven't seen the vision that you saw. And so they will misunderstand you. And that misunderstanding can make you very depressed because you think that everyone understands you. Give people a right to misunderstand you. Don't let it stop you from pursuing your assignment. The fifth cost of leadership is relationships. If you're going to be an effective leader, you will find that you may lose some very special relationships because you may need to move away from people you love to achieve what you were born to achieve. You may lose a relationship with a best friend or maybe an old friend because you are pursuing something they are not interested in. If you study history very carefully, especially the great leaders of the biblical text, you will find that many of them had to leave their families and lose their relationships. I think even Jesus Christ himself said that if you're going to achieve your purpose in life, you may find your enemy in your own house. Relationships. Keep in mind that not everybody wants to go where you're going. It's also impossible for you to go with people who don't have an interest in where you are going. Remember this also, as a leader, that you can outgrow your friends. As a leader, you should always surround yourself with other people who can make you think, who can expand your vision, who can challenge your dreams, who can cause you to stretch yourself. King Solomon said these words: "He who wants to be a success does not keep company with failures." So be willing to lose some relationships. And sometimes it's your own family. But it's a cost you got to pay. I think of Jesus Christ himself, who is my mentor. As a leader, you may notice that he never chose his members of his family as part of his organization. He went and collected people who could dream with him, who could believe in his dream. And one day, I remember his natural family came to see him, and they sent a message to him, and they said, "Your mother and your brothers are outside to see you." And he sent a message back. And this was his message: "Who is my mother and my brothers and my sisters? Is it not these who I chose to be with me?" You may have to lose the most important people in your life to achieve the most important thing in your life. Don't be afraid to let go of people who can't go where you're headed. Price number 6 is loneliness. If you're going to be an effective leader, young woman, you're going to have to be willing to be alone. Leadership is a lonely place because sometimes you're the only one who sees what you see, and you can't explain it. So don't be afraid that there'll be moments when you feel very lonely. Loneliness is a sign that you are a leader. Love to be loved. We all love to be approved. We love to be appreciated. But a true leader knows that there'll be times when even your spouse won't understand. Keep in mind that all true visions only have one believer first. If you're the only one that believes, keep moving. It's a price you pay. Number 6, the price you got to pay for leadership is fatigue. We don't think about this too much, but to be an effective leader, you will always have to give the extra effort. You have to pay the extra price physically. You have to stay up a little later than everybody else and lose sleep. You got to move around and travel and pursue things even though you are tired. That's leadership. I always say that leaders are always tired people. Get 8 hours of sleep. It's impossible. It's a price you have to pay. It has been said that Great leaders in the world achieve greatness while others are sleeping. This is why true leaders must keep their bodies healthy. You must not put things in your body to weaken your body, because you need a strong body to carry your vision. Fatigue. So stop telling people you're tired. They're not interested. Get on with your work and do it. And when you get a chance, catch a nap. It's the price you pay. Number 8, fear. All great leaders, like the one you're sitting next to, must experience fear. Why? They are always doing things they never did before. Leaders are amazing people. They will announce things they can't pay for. It's a cost you got to pay. I live in fear all the time, but it's a positive fear. It's a fear that is generated by faith. There's a mystery. Faith doesn't cancel fear, it creates it. God will tell you to do things that you know you can't do. So the fear is awakened. But it's not a fear that immobilizes you. It's a fear that gives you courage, because courage needs fear to exist. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage requires fear to exist. Courage is what you do in the face of your fear. You know, leaders are amazing people. Of killers coming to kill them. They were Egyptians. And Moses did something that all leaders must learn to do. The story says that Moses got up on a rock high and he looked at the water. Problem. He looked at the soldiers. Problem. He looked at the water. Problem. Soldiers. Problem. And he's the leader. What do you do when there's problem in front and behind? You do exactly what Moses did. I do it all the time. He got up and he stretched his hands out to the people and he said, "Don't be afraid. I promise you, all of you, that today, before the sun sets, not a one of those soldiers coming to kill us will be alive. So calm down." And the Bible says, and then Moses ran behind a bush and said unto the Lord, "Lord, did you hear what I told them?" Give God a hand for a true leader. I said, "What are you talking about? I just told them that them folks going to be dead before the sunset." God said, "I know, I heard you. Go out and do exactly what you said." Do what? Go kill the soldiers. In other words, when a leader declares in faith, heaven backs you up. Don't be afraid to be afraid. Your assignment will always frighten you. If what you dream of doing does not frighten you, it is not from God. God will never give you an assignment that doesn't require his assistance. So true leaders are always doing something over their heads. That's why the fear is always present. Number 9, leadership will cost self-doubt. It's a price you got to pay. All true leaders have moments where they feel, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I miscalculated. Maybe I didn't hear from God. Maybe I didn't make the right decision. Maybe I left too soon. Maybe what I'm doing is not right. These moments of doubt are very common. Doubt is necessary for belief to exist. Doubting is okay. Doubting means that you're reminding yourself that you need God. Doubt is okay. Doubt creates belief. You never fully believe until you've completely doubted. Leaders have moments where they are afraid. They ask themselves questions. I remember the greatest example of doubt is Jesus Christ himself. He knew what he was born to do. He announced it. But one night in a garden, he began to doubt himself, and he said, is there another way to do this? I remember John the Baptist. It is he who announced, behold the Lamb of God. And 2 weeks later, he's in the prison. He's doubting. Are you the one? If you're doubting your dream for a moment, it's okay. Get over your doubt and keep believing your dream. The cost of leadership, number 10, is a big one. Rejection. If you're going to be a true, effective leader, accept the reality of rejection. You cannot lead without being first rejected. You will never be completely accepted until you've been totally rejected. So if you are rejected by people at the moment, that's a good sign that you're on your way to greatness. These are 10 costs of being a successful leader. And I challenge you to make a note of them and make them your friends. Criticism and opposition, antagonism, misunderstanding, relationships, loneliness, fatigue, fear, self-doubt, and rejection. Get used to them. They are part of the process of becoming a great leader. And you are a great leader trapped in a follower. How leaders lead effectively in spite of those costs. Number one, leaders are involved in creating things. Leaders are always doing things no one has done before in their environment. They create new things. They build new things. They always create things that didn't exist before. Leaders don't imitate. They innovate. Leaders don't maintain. They develop. So they create animation. Number two, leaders are involved in building. Leaders don't just exist. They build things that become a part of the new legacy of their life. If you are a leader, there should be some evidence you left behind. So you think of all the leaders that you admire. They all have a legacy that they built. And it's not just people. It's a matter of ideas, institutions. Number three, leaders are involved in maintaining the things that are good. They're involved in maintenance of what is right. Things like truth and justice, self-worth of the human, respect for human dignity. They protect those things. They maintain those things, even though they develop new things. They don't destroy good culture. Number four, leaders lead effectively by bringing change. Leaders don't accept the status quo. They create new status. They change things. Leadership is a project in changing the environment. If things don't change as a result of your action, you are not a leader. You are a manager. And number five, leaders are developers. They develop leadership in their wake. You cannot be a leader for your own generation. You must produce leaders for the next generation. So true leaders focus on succession, not just possession. True leadership is about not maintaining followers, but reproducing leaders after yourself. Great leaders don't build buildings. They build people. Back to your department, back to your church, back to your company, and I challenge you to identify 3 people you're going to pour your life into. If your vision dies when you die, you are a failure. If you want to be a successful leader, then spell the word correctly. The word is spelled Successor. You are successful if you produce a successor. Who are you mentoring? One of the weaknesses of our third world nations is that our leaders are not true leaders. They don't think about mentoring successions. They think about protecting their position. We don't mentor those around us, we kill them. We protect ourselves from them. This is not leadership. This is insecurity with a title. True leaders always focus on their replacement. Are you a true leader? Sometimes the worst thing you can do to a third world person is to give them promotion. What's even worse is to give them a title. Because all of a sudden, they begin to cut people off. They use the position to isolate themselves. True leadership is measured by the leaders you create. Leaders develop people. I want to also give you what I call the 7 marks of future leaders. Everyone, please write these down. When I see you again, I'm going to give you an exam. The 7 marks of a future leader. Very important. Our world is very complicated today, so you've got to learn how to navigate this very mysterious environment that we live in today. And to be an effective leader, you have to understand some important principles. Number 1, you must have extraordinary levels of perception and insight. And that means you must constantly be aware that nothing is as simple as it seems. Number 2, you must have extraordinary levels of motivation to handle change, because everything keeps changing so quickly. Leadership is an exercise in management and benefiting from unexpected change. True leaders are never panicking when things change. They use change to make them plan. Number 3, you must have emotional strength to manage anxiety of change while learning new skills. I think leaders must never graduate from the school of life. As a leader, you should never think you arrive. Always be buying books, always going to seminars, constantly reviving your dead vision. You want to constantly refine your skills because the world is changing so quickly. You must constantly be getting new information. If you're going to be a leader, you can't be stuck on last week's information. Number 4, the marks of a future leader is you must embrace new skills to analyze cultural assumptions. And these are kind of a big words here, but what it simply means is that your culture is changing so quickly that you must be able to interpret those changes and adjust yourself to accommodate them. Number 5, the future leader must be willing and have the ability to involve other people. One of the sadness of historical leaders is they love to get all the credit themselves. They want all the accolades. They want to be the ones who's the champion, the big hero. Those days are over. We have to work in a way that everyone shares the credit for success. Then staff your weaknesses. In other words, wherever you are weak as a leader, hire someone with that strength. None of us can do everything, but all of us can do something. That's leadership. Leadership is about identifying other people's gifts and putting them in the context of the corporate effort. That's the kind of leader who will succeed in the 21st century. The lone leader is no longer valid. Being the head honcho, a leader is a conductor of other people's gifts. And finally, number 7, the mark of the future leader is they must have a deep commitment to character. And this is the most important. When I come back to your country, I will be happy to do a seminar on character, because it's the greatest deficit of leadership in the world. It's got power, they got position, they got education, some of them got skills, but most of them lack character. Character is not reputation. Reputation is what other people think about you. Character is what you know about you. Reputation is what you do in public. Your character is what you do in private. It's what you pretend to be on stage. Character is what your wife knows about you. Oh my God. A leader's job is to be the same in secret as she is in public. Character means that you are not schizophrenic. You are not one thing in the day and someone else in the night. You are the same all the time, everywhere, with anybody. Can we trust you when we are not around? Character is what you do when no one's looking. Leaders must have character. There are people in public who are thieves in secret. We need people who are honest when no one's around. Someone asked me the other day, how would you define character with an example? I said, simple. I said, there are two men you need to learn about. One, his name is Joe. The other is Sam. Joe and Sam had different characters. Joe was enticed by a woman to sleep with him. And Joe ran from the woman and left his clothes on the floor. Sam was enticed by a woman. Instead of running, he laid his head in her lap, and she took away his strength. Joe weighed 120 pounds. Sam weighed 250 pounds. Joe was weak physically. Sam was a muscular, powerful specimen. Which one was strongest? Joe. Joseph ran. Samson failed. Which one are you? Character is more important than power. Write it down. Samson had power, but no character. Character will always protect power. We need leaders with character who will not compromise under pressure, who will not submit to one night of pleasure for a lifetime of depression. Are you a leader? Do we really know who you are? What do you do on Monday nights when no one's around? What do you do on Friday when no one's watching? Do we really know you? And I'm talking to you pastors too. Who are you in secret? Are you a leader with character? Ladies and gentlemen, one last list I want to give you. I call it the 7 lessons of leading the future. Write them down. Number 1, leaders don't wait. And what I mean by this is a true leader doesn't wait for people to do things. They initiate change. This is why true leaders don't complain. They act. If you don't like what's going on in your country, in your community, stop talking about it. Do something. Start an organization. Use your home as a gathering place for them. Do something. Shut up. Stop complaining. Don't wait for someone else to do it. Don't wait for the government to solve the problem. Leaders act. Leaders don't wait. The master arrived. And he said, why are you guys outside? And they said, because there was no servant to wash our feet. We were waiting for someone else to solve the problem. And he was shocked. He looked at them in disgust. And then he walks away. And he goes over to the servants' quarters and he picks up a bucket. He takes his towel, throws it over his shoulders, and he walks down to the village, to the well. And he puts the bucket in the water and brings it up. And he walks all the way back up to the house, puts the bucket at the door, and he sits down and he says, line up. Why? Leaders don't wait for other people to do what they can do. Stop waiting for the government to solve your problems. And stop complaining while you're waiting. Go to the well yourself. And pick up a towel and change your city. Number 2, leaders know character is important. More important than reputation. Number 3, leaders have their heads in the clouds, but they keep their feet on the ground. That means leaders are always dreaming about the future. They see destiny, but they're also conscious of where people are at, and they bring them along slowly with compassion. You don't force people to go forward. You have sensitivity and compassion. Patience. Nudge them. Don't drag them. Number 4, leaders don't forget this important issue. They know that shared values make a difference. And what this means is that leaders help people to share the same values they have. They encourage people to believe what they believe. What's important to them? What's valuable to them? Shared value is important. This is how drug dealers talk. You're my friend. Okay? You're my friend. But don't cross me. What they mean is, look, we got the same values, but our value says, don't cross me. You can't trust the guy who's already a compromise. The first thing God gave the nation, and I want to close on these few points here. When God was about to create a new nation, just like this country is in the process of becoming a new nation, God told Moses, I want to start the nation with slaves. I want you to go into Egypt and get me some slaves, because I want to start a nation with nothing. God loves to start nations with slaves, because slaves have nothing, not even a reputation. And God said, bring them out to me. I want to create a holy nation. That's why God raised up Moses, not to create a religion called Judaism. He made a nation, not a religion, values. And then we can build a nation. Leadership must be built on values. Number 5, leaders must know they cannot do it alone. Leadership is a privilege given by the followers, not a right claimed by the leader. I repeat, leadership is a privilege given to you by the followers. It's not a right that you claim. You don't have a right to be a leader. They give you the privilege. So don't think you can do it alone. You need people to fulfill the dream. And number 6, leaders know that the legacy you leave is the life you live. There are many people that you know who are great leaders, but your memory of them is a sad one. Your life is more important than your leadership. What did I say? I can't hear you. Say it loud. You remember that for the rest of your life. People don't care what you do. They care how you live. Your legacy is in your life. And number 7, leaders know that leadership is every man's business. That means all of us are leaders, and all of us must help each other become a leader. And we must all work together to achieve a corporate success around the corner. May you die with nothing else left to do. May you live in such a way that your first name is enough for your tombstone. Give yourself a hand for dying empty. I leave you with 5 simple characteristics. And when I come back to Fiji, I'm going to ask you what they are. So memorize them. The leader of the future is one who can, number 1, lead and follow. Great leaders are always good followers. They submit to others. Number 2, the future leader must be one who can be central and marginal. What that means is you are in touch with the center and the circumference. You don't hide in your ivory tower and don't touch base with the people on the bottom. A leader must be sensitive to all levels of leadership. Number 3, a leader must be hierarchical above and below. That means leave your lofty title position and spend time at the bottom as well to know what people think and feel and care about them. I remember one day Jesus Christ, the great leader of all time, was having a big crusade. A lot of folks were there, and he was talking to the adults. And suddenly, some little children ran into the meeting. The disciples tried to be bodyguards, and he rebuked them. He was in touch with the elders and the children. Leaders are in touch with the entire organization. If your title separates you from the people, you should be fired. Number 4, the leader must be individualistic and a team player. That means you must know who you are, clear on your gifts and your talents, know that you are an individual, unique and different, but also know that you are part of a team. You are not the solution to every problem. You were born to only solve one problem. You're not a team player. You got to be a team player if you're a leader. And number 5, the leader of the 21st century must be a perpetual learner. That means you are always a student. Always be a student. I will never graduate from the school of knowledge. I have read more books since I left college than while I was in college. That's why I'm here and you there. Through Jesus.